Okay, hello, this is Hirsch Agrawal,
And Hirschbergava.
and today we will be doing a review of iOS 5, Apple's new iPhone and iPad and iPod Touch operating system. Okay, so we're going to go through the list of features and just talk about each one, and we both have it installed, and it is the real version, not the Gold Master. Okay, so the first primary feature is Notification Center. What do you think of this feature, Hirsch?
I think that it is an extremely well-designed and developed feature. It runs very well on all devices. I especially like how inobtrusive it is compared to the old notification system.
Okay, I must definitely agree with Hirsch. Hirsch has a 4th generation iPod Touch, and I have a 3rd gen. And I have to say, everything runs really smoothly, and I was worried that it would be a little bit laggy on this iPod, but it's actually, everything runs smoothly and perfectly. Also, the design is very clean. The stocks and the weather look very nice. It's all animated. And so I think that was a very good feature. Hirsch, what do you think of the way that things pop into the screen whenever you get a message or something?
Well, as I said, I think it's very unobtrusive. You can see it, the animation looks good, and it's noticeable.
Yes, I have to agree with that. Because also I like the way they give you the option so you can still use the old system for certain apps and everything. So it's very useful, and yes, I agree with Hirsch. It is unobtrusive, but yet it's still very easy to see. Also, it
Okay.
works well during uh, it works well when your iPod or iPhone's locked.
Yes, the lock screen version is also really good. So the next or the next big change in iOS 5 is iCloud and iCloud backup. This gives you the ability to store data on over on the internet. You get 5 gigs of space for free, and it seems to work pretty well. I have my photo stream and everything set up, and it's nearly immediate. I take a picture on my iPod, and it pops up everywhere else immediately. Um, Also, it's again unobtrusive. There's just a little logo on the status bar that shows it. Find My iPod. I know people who've used that, and it's worked for them when they lost their iPods and iPhones. So that is iCloud. Also, as a developer, I see real benefits for that when I'm writing apps, and
Okay,
I'm sure we'll see that in the future.
and I have to agree with Hirsch. Another clarification with iCloud is that not only does it give you 5 gigs of space for data, it actually gives you unlimited space for music. So it'll back up to 5 gigs of video and picture, but you have as much music backup as you wish. So that's kind of an advantage, because at first I thought, well, 5 gigs isn't that much, but actually it's pretty decent. So yes, that's a very useful feature. The next major feature that was implemented in this new operating system is iMessage, which allows owners of either an iPod Touch, an iPhone, or an iPad to all communicate with each other for free using an application that's very similar to their original SMS app.
Yes. I think it's another excellent feature for iPhone and iPod Touch users. You can see Apple trying to push away from other mobile phones, which is to be expected. The interface is very sleek. I was surprised at how fast it is, especially sending longer videos and pictures. And just overall integration again with the Notification Center is really good.
Yes, and Hirsch and I have done some pretty extensive testing with this because we like to do speed tests, and it is actually very quick over a wireless connection, Wi-Fi. It's very smooth. All the animations look nice. Also, I have to say, Apple. This was probably a very good choice on Apple's part, giving you the free messaging, because Apple has the advantage that they can communicate with all of their other devices, which is something that most companies do not have.
Okay. Uh, Another very intriguing feature added in iOS 5 is reminders. This shows up as a home screen application. It The interface is sleek. It almost looks like an enlarged pop-up window. It has rounded edges, which is interesting. It's essentially a task management application, sleekly designed, but when you add something, it gives you unique abilities to remind you when you leave a location. You can obviously set times, and it's overall a good addition. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't have something like this in the earlier releases of iOS, but it's a good app overall.
Oh yeah, I have to agree. Though it has similarities to the original calendar application, the ability to set the date and time so specifically is very useful, and it works seamlessly with their new notification features. Also, you can do some really cool things like set it so that whenever you leave a certain location, it'll give you a reminder. And I think that's a pretty neat feature. It's very useful. It's a little bit confusing at first when you look at it. It can be a little overwhelming, especially on the iPod Touch because it's kind of small. But once you get used to it, I can definitely see it becoming a very useful app. So the next thing we'll talk about is the Twitter integration. And I don't actually use Twitter, so Hirsch, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I do use Twitter. I think it is it's a good feature for a lot of the iOS community. I think it's good that they have it. I mean, I don't think it'll have a big impact on many people. It's mostly just very convenient. You can tweet videos and pictures and stuff from directly from the device root menus.
Yes, that is true. And the integration with the OS is very nice. You can send pictures, you can send web links. It's very useful. So, next we'll talk about the camera quickly. And there have been a lot of improvements on the camera. And there have been physical camera improvements on the iPhone 4S. And then there are obviously only software updates for the other devices. So, Hirsch, how do you think the new camera works?
I think it's great. I've not used it on an iPhone yet, but there's the new grid feature, the lock exposure feature. I'm intrigued by the iPhone 4S stabilization.
Yes, that is very
the
good.
camera, yeah. And also there's some workflow improvements. You can swipe directly from the camera, like view screen into your previous pictures. And there's the new editing feature, and their automatic correction works pretty well. I was surprised. And overall, I think it's pretty good. It will definitely be benefited. I don't have an iPhone 4 or an iPhone 4S, but those two cameras will definitely impact it very well.
Yes, and another major difference is that I feel it was more geared towards people who do more than just quick photographs of random people at parties and things, because the ability to lock exposure and focus is very useful for people who are taking slightly higher quality photographs, maybe of their vacation or something, and they want to have really high quality photographs, and that could definitely be a useful feature for many people. Also, the grid line is helpful for framing and things. So, yes.
Okay. Next up, we have the Newsstand application, which brings a whole nother store to the world of iOS. I mean, first it was the music store, then it was the app store, and now we have Newsstand. I think it's... Oh, and also the bookstore.
iBooks.
Yeah. I think the interface is good. You can access it quickly. Especially on a Retina display, you can even see what you have from the icon. Of course, Apple has its nice animations. It updates seamlessly. I've downloaded a few magazines so far, and overall, I think it's really good.
Yes, I agree. Well, Hirsch, correct me if I'm wrong, but one thing that I found a little misleading was whenever you open up the application first, you can click on a little link and it'll bring you to the App Store and you can download a bunch of magazines. And they all say free, but then when you download them, you find out that you actually need to pay to use them or to get any issues. So I felt that's a little bit surprising because I don't know why they bothered to say free.
Right. I think that's just either a loophole that these companies are exploiting or just something just to get people to get their stuff. Personally, I think it'll benefit them in the long run because it's so easy to make purchases with your Apple ID. But if you already have a print subscription, it's a big hassle to cancel your print subscription and then subscribe to the digital version. And some people just like the print subscription better. So we'll see how that plays out. Because, I mean, even an iPad display isn't that big.
Yeah, that's true, because I have print subscriptions to some magazines, and you're supposed to be able to integrate the print and virtual subscription so that you can get them both for free with some magazines, and that is a real hassle to do. So I kind of hope that Apple works on that a little bit and makes it a bit easier for customers to do that. But other than that, it is a very nice application. So next we will be moving on to the new Photos app. So Hirsch, I guess this is more for you since you've actually used it.
There's not that much difference, aside, I mean, there's Twitter integration, and, I just wanted to talk for a second about the, editing features for pictures. This is available for pictures. It's very simple to use, and it has an auto enhance, created by Apple. That works, pretty decently. So does the red eye reduction. And obviously you have cropping, and that's nice. Personally, I still prefer my Photoshop for iPhone, and better yet, Photoshop for the computer, but I think it's overall pretty good. Their geotagging thing is, once again, nice.
Right, and yep, that's all true. And one thing I just want to add is to our previous statement where we said it was a little misleading, the newsstand. Actually, I've just found out that some of the magazines, such as the New York Times, are in fact completely free for users to read on their phones. So that's actually kind of nice, which I just found out. So, and I downloaded it, and it looks very good. It's similar to the New York Times application, but everything, just because it's all made by Apple, I guess, or supported more, and I guess more vigorously tested by Apple. Everything looks very nice. The animations are much smoother than in their application. So I'm hoping that Apple adds a few more magazines soon.
Okay. And to wrap up, we have Safari and PC free. Hirsch, if you want to talk about Safari for a minute.
Okay. So I've used Safari a little bit with iOS 5, and actually I must say it's a pretty good addition. It was, I feel, more geared towards the iPad. But some of the iPhone features are really nice, especially the new reader feature. I find that very helpful because oftentimes with such a small screen on an iPhone or an iPod Touch, the ads end up taking up about maybe half the screen, and it gives you almost no room to read. And I found the Reader app, it works flawlessly. I mean, it's really nice. It just gives you a perfect view of all of the text. It looks almost like an ebook. So I found that very useful. They've also added reading list and tabbed web browsing. I haven't used either of those. Tabbed web browsing is more for the iPad, and reading list basically just lets you bookmark stuff for later. So I don't really see how that's so helpful, but okay. And then next we'll be talking about PC free, and this is probably one of the bigger features. So Hirsch, do you want to start off?
Well, PC free is essentially, as their icon represents, cutting the cable to the PC. No pun intended. You can now install updates without your computer. You can set up your phone without a computer, or your device without a computer. Overall, I think it'll add convenience, but only iOS 6 will tell.
Yes, that's definitely true, and I have to say, well, if you watch the video that I uploaded on when I installed iOS 5, you'll see whenever you turn on your iPhone or iPad for the first time, you have a nice animation with all the languages, and it'll just guide you through everything. It's really simple to set up. You can just log in. It explains everything for you. I think it's
not as close as Snow Leopard video, though.
Yes, that's true, but they do have some nice animations, and I think it was a good decision. Also, another thing is that it still automatically syncs with your computer over Wi-Fi, so whenever you plug in your iPhone or iPod to charge, especially I know, or at least I do whenever I go to bed, I just plug it in, and then Apple will automatically sync it to your computer. So it'll sync all your pictures, videos, music, everything. So I think that's a really nice feature to have.
Okay, so Hirsch, if you want to talk about the multi-touch gestures in on the iPad.
Okay, so this is kind of going back. Well, we forgot to say something just quickly about multitask gestures and AirPlay mirroring. Now, these are primarily geared towards the iPad and even more so towards the new iPad 2. I think the multitask gestures was definitely a good idea. It certainly takes advantage of the nice big screen you have on an iPad. It allows you to use multiple fingers in the same way you'd use an Apple trackpad on a MacBook Pro or really any of their laptops. Also, AirPlay mirroring, I can't say I think it's the most useful thing because the one major problem is the fact that you need to have an Apple TV. And really, if you have an Apple TV, you can just download any movies or anything you want. So I can't say it's the most important feature, but I don't know, maybe it'll be useful for some features. So Hirsch, do you want... Okay, so the final feature of iOS 5 is their new Mail, Calendar, Game Center updates. So for Mail, for all of those, they're pretty basic updates. They give you more text formatting options and the ability to rearrange names and addresses, flag important messages. And then for Calendar, you can do some kind of cool things. They've sort of made it a little bit more like iCloud for the Mac, which is kind of nice. I think that'll be useful. And Game Center, I haven't really used, but they say that it's you get profile pictures, it'll give you better friend recommendations, things like that. So some kind of interesting features, just quick. So that is our pretty long talk on iOS 5 and a few other things, I guess, now. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have a few other reviews / conversations like this on our channels. So check out Hirsch's channel, and unless you're watching this on his channel, in which case you should check out my channel. So, yep, I think that just about sums it up, and links will all be in the description. So thank you for listening / watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.